March 13th, 2025, 1:25 in the morning. Structural engineer Roberto Manuso stands inside a Bagnoli apartment complex with his thermal camera and laser measuring equipment. Bagnoli apartment complex with his thermal camera and laser measuring equipment. He's documenting foundation cracks that appeared just weeks earlier. Then the building starts to shake. Not the quick jolt of a typical earthquake. This is different. The walls groan. Support beams begin to twist. The concrete floor beneath his feet ripples like water. Magnitude 4.4. 60 seconds of pure geological violence. When the shaking stops, Manuso looks around and realizes something terrifying. The damage patterns make no sense for a normal earthquake. Load-bearing walls have developed geometric fracture networks. There's not. Ceiling systems collapsed along perfectly calculated stress lines. This isn't random destruction. This is systematic engineering failure. Within 6 hours, evacuation orders go out for dozens of buildings across Naples. All of them show the same signature, the same impossible damage patterns. Ground acceleration readings come back. 0.6 to 1 full G-force in residential zones. That's beyond what modern construction codes are designed to handle. Over the next 72 hours, structural assessment teams discover the scope of what's happening. 18,500 earthquakes have struck this region in just 3 years, each one applying incremental pressure to the exact weak points in the city's infrastructure. Campi Flegrei isn't just causing earthquake damage anymore. It's conducting a live stress test on 900,000 people and every building they live in. And the March event proved something worse. The volcano can generate these destructive forces repeatedly, systematically, with increasing intensity. To understand why buildings across Naples are failing, we need to examine what Campi Flegrei has been doing to this region over the past 5 decades. The supervolcano's caldera spans 8 miles. It sits directly beneath Pozzuoli and extends under the Bay of Naples. The entire system has been in a state of unrest since 1969. But the current crisis began in earnest in 2021. Seismic monitoring stations recorded an explosive increase in earthquake frequency. From 2021 to 2024, the count reached 18,500 separate events. Most range between magnitude 1.5 and 3.0. But the critical events, the ones that damage buildings, fall between magnitude 4 and 5.1. May 20th, 2024. A magnitude 4.4 earthquake forced immediate evacuations of multiple schools and even a correctional facility. Structural inspectors found stress fractures in buildings that had passed safety inspections just months before. Then came March 13th, 2025. Another magnitude 4.4 event. This time, the damage assessment revealed something far more disturbing. The seismic waves weren't just shaking buildings randomly. This isn't the first time Campi Flegrei has weaponized geological forces against human infrastructure. In 1538, the Monte Nuovo eruption obliterated entire Roman settlements in a single week. Ancient stone temples that had stood for centuries were twisted into unrecognizable rubble. But the modern era revealed something even more insidious. From 1969 to 1972, the ground beneath Pozzuoli rose over 6 feet in what scientists call seismic crisis. Foundations warped, walls cracked. So, buildings became structurally unsound without a single major earthquake. 40,000 residents evacuated. Then it happened again, 1982 to 1984. Another uplift cycle. This time, 8,000 buildings sustained damage. The entire harbor district of Pozzuoli became uninhabitable. What these historical events taught scientists is critical. Campi Flegrei doesn't need a massive eruption to destroy a city. It can do it slowly through ground deformation, thermal expansion, and relentless seismic bombardment. Here's what makes the current situation so dangerous. Campi Flegrei operates through a dual threat system. First, there's the seismic assault. 18,500 earthquakes over 3 years means an average of 17 tremors per day. Most are imperceptible to humans, but they're not imperceptible to buildings. Each micro-tremor propagates stress through concrete and steel. Over time, these stresses accumulate at connection points, load-bearing joints, and foundation anchors. The March magnitude 4.4 event didn't create new damage. It exploited 3 years of accumulated structural fatigue. Second, there's the hydrothermal attack. Beneath Pozzuoli, superheated fluids circulate through fractured rock. These fluids cause cyclical thermal expansion. Concrete expands when heated and contracts when cooled. Steel behaves the same way. Building codes account for seasonal temperature variation. They do not account for volcanic-scale thermal cycling happening underground. The combination is devastating. Earthquakes crack the structural members. Here's what I need you to think about. If you lived in a building that had experienced 17 small earthquakes per day for 3 straight years, would you trust that structure to protect your family during the next magnitude 4.4 event? Drop your answer in the comments, because 900,000 people in Naples are asking themselves this exact question right now. And the structural engineers assessing their buildings don't have reassuring answers. Let's talk about what's actually happening to the buildings right now. Municipal inspection reports reveal a pattern that should terrify anyone living in this zone. Load-bearing walls aren't just cracking randomly. They're developing geometric fracture networks that trace the exact transmission paths of seismic stress. Structural engineers use laser measurement tools to map these cracks. What they're finding is mathematical precision in the destruction. Pedestrian bridges across Pozzuoli are warping along their seams, not from a single catastrophic earthquake, from gradual deformation of their underlying anchorages. The ground itself is shifting millimeters at a time. Those millimeters compound over months and years until critical infrastructure becomes unusable. Transportation networks are the first to fail in this type of geological siege. Roads buckle as their underlayers respond to hydrothermal heating. But here's where the crisis becomes existential. Naples' underground utility infrastructure was built using the same obsolete codes as the buildings above: water mains, gas pipelines, electrical conduits, fiber, optic bundles. All of them are now being subjected to forces they were never designed to withstand. Every earthquake-buckled street carries an invisible payload of ruptured water connections and fractured gas lines. Power substations built on cracked foundations become ticking blackout bombs. When magnitude 4.4 strikes again, and it will, the cascading failures won't just affect buildings. They'll affect every hospital, every fire station, every emergency response center trying to save lives. For emergency responders already stretched to breaking point, this infrastructure implosion represents a countdown to mass casualty catastrophe. 900,000 residents now live inside this geological experiment. Families wake up each morning not knowing if today brings the tremor that makes their home uninhabitable. Schools conduct evacuation drills so frequently that children have started treating seismic alerts as routine background noise. That normalization is dangerous because the next major event won't be routine. The Italian Civil Protection Department maintains a 4-tier alert system for Campi Flegrei. Green means normal background activity. Yellow indicates signs of unrest requiring increased monitoring. Orange means probable magmatic intrusion with significant risk. Red means eruption is imminent or underway. Right now, the official alert level remains at yellow. But here's the problem. That yellow classification was designed for traditional volcanic eruption scenarios. It doesn't adequately capture the slow-motion infrastructure catastrophe unfolding across Naples. You don't need magma reaching the surface to destroy a city. You just need 18,500 earthquakes, systematically dismantling it piece by piece. Evacuation drills conducted in Pozzuoli have exposed critical failures in emergency preparedness. Roads designed as evacuation routes are already compromised by ground deformation. So what does the future hold for Naples? Scientists monitoring Campi Flegrei agree on one thing. The current pattern will continue. Ground deformation will persist. Seismic swarms will intensify. Each magnitude 4 to 5.1 event will find new structural weaknesses to exploit. The question isn't whether more buildings will fail. The question is, how many and how fast? Dr. Eugenio Iovolino's research established that magnitude 4.4 to 5.1 represents the structural failure threshold for buildings not designed for volcanic seismic loads. Naples has already crossed that threshold twice in less than a year. Current ground acceleration values are exceeding design specifications. Translation: the city's building stock is being tested beyond its engineered capacity, and it's failing the test. Here's the reality. Also reality. Campi Flegrei has been conducting a 3-year engineering experiment on 900,000 people. Each earthquake is a data point. Each cracked foundation is a measurement. Each evacuated building is a result. The volcano is systematically learning how to dismantle a major metropolitan area by identifying and exploiting the exact forces modern construction cannot withstand. This is not natural disaster. This is calculated geological pressure applied with mathematical precision over time. The infrastructure apocalypse facing Naples is already written into the urban landscape. 18,500 seismic strikes over 3 years. If you were a Naples resident right now, would you stay or would you leave? And if you'd stay, what would it take to change your mind? 1 more major quake? 10? 100? Drop your honest answer below. If this information matters to you, hit that subscribe button. We're tracking Campi Flegrei daily, and you need to see what happens next.